Hello, and welcome to Casual Shenanigans Gaming, a podcast all about Battlefield, DayZ, and all things PC gaming related. I'm one of your hosts, Jerem Gaming, and I'm joined by my fellow hosts, Chris.
Hello.
Dave.
Hey folks, I am Dave, the not so evil Viking 13.
And Steve.
Hello, chaps.
Yeah, we're not going to do that again. No, it's
I think
fine.
Steve just came back from London too.
Alright, so we start every podcast with the news, and I cared about you guys so much this week that I totally forgot to write any of the news down, so I'm going to scroll through a blog roll here and read things off. I had planned out things beforehand, I just forgot to actually write them down. Alright, so there's a Battlefield 4 update designed to curb some of the crashing that's happening to everybody all the time. It's supposed to improve network lag, server crashes, all kinds of other stuff. We can't really tell you anything else about it, though, because we don't know if it's going to work yet, so...
I played an hour with it.
Any difference?
My micro stutter is much improved, better performance, and it took a while to get into servers, like lots of battle log freakouts, but the game itself is more stable, it seems like.
Okay.
And also, someone at DayZ is, I don't know, probably in big trouble today because they accidentally put all of the guns and gadgets for the first DLC live in the patch today.
I saw that. Now, was that yanked pretty quickly?
I think it's still up, actually. I think they're going to have to put another client patch out to remove them.
I was seeing lots of videos popping up. I guess YouTubers who are home today were jumping all over that.
There's a lot of it today.
There's some cool looking stuff. There's like that little remote control plane that can fly around.
That looks like so much fun. Do you see that? Where, I think it was Jack Frags nailed the guy in the face with it from like 10 feet away. He threw it just right into his face.
It looks cool. The thing is, I haven't even played all of the vanilla maps yet, so I'm not like hankering for the first DLC. I've put in like 6 hours into multiplayer, so
yeah. I put in 50. Now,
this is interesting. Diablo 3 has been very controversial because it required you to play online, and they said that was because of that auction house thing, which turned out to be a giant failure, and they're shutting down. But you had to be online to play it, and a lot of people didn't like that because it was really mostly a single-player game. You could play with friends and stuff, but a lot of people played single-player, and they did not understand why you needed to be online to play a single-player game, much like people feel about SimCity and other games that have stupid DRM in them. But they're shutting down the auction house, but they're still remaining pretty committed, Blizzard is, to the always online requirement. They actually went as far as to say that it was a mistake to let Diablo 2 be played offline. And that was like in 2001 or something when it came out. 2000, something like that. Like, internet was not nearly as good as it is now, so I cannot imagine
There's a lot of
someone
people
launching...
who still didn't even have it.
Yeah, I can't imagine launching with always online requirements back then. That game would have flopped. Like, there's no way that game would have... I mean, what type of internet did you guys have in 2001?
None.
Yeah, can't remember.
none.
Dial-up?
Yeah.
We had dial-up. I don't think I was allowed to use it, but it existed.
It was about to become AOL, but in 2001 it was nothing, I think. AOL.
Let me see. There's Payday, the Heist, or Payday 2 DLC coming out soon, which they've actually dropped the price of the game to $18. So that's pretty cool. I'm still waiting for when it hits $5 or $17 for a 4-pack. I'm gonna snap up a 4-pack so we can all bust through it.
They've got to sell a bunch of copies before GTA comes to PC.
Yeah, they need to capitalize on that because once it comes out, it's over.
I mean, it's a pretty sweet game. I played a bunch of the beta. It's nice, but I mean GTA.
Right. That's true. A lot of things. Yeah, but GTA.
Yes.
Last of Us, it was definitely Game of the Year, but GTA. I still think The Last of Us should be Game of the Year. Okay, there's a new Steam update. This is pretty cool. One of the dumb things about Steam is anytime you jump into a game, Steam pauses everything it's doing. It pauses downloads, everything. Well, you will now be able to download software while you are playing a game, which
Mind
would be
blown.
I mean, I don't know. Does that ever affect you guys?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, it usually means downloading overnight for a big game or something like that. Because I want to play in the evenings. So
I tend to play like a single player game, if I have a game that I want to download, and then I'll have to like tab out and trick Steam into like forcing to start the download again while I play the single player game. It's obnoxious. Not all of us have blazing fast internets, Jeremiah.
Yeah, it doesn't suck. Although
So
actually,
you and Edgar keep telling me.
whenever, well, he has Comcast too, so he didn't even know. Like he's not even living the good life. Okay, so the Humble Bundle, renowned for offering you awesome games for nothing and responsible for like 70% of my Steam library at this point. 70% and 4% of the money. They have debuted the Humble Store, which I thought was going to be really awesome because it was like a pay anything you want for any of the games in the store at any time. That was going to be like amazing. It's not. It's a regular store. But they do have really good deals on the stuff in there.
Take that, Walmart. This is our new business model.
Yeah,
You set the prices.
Get whatever you want. Yeah, that's I could see why. Well, that would be awesome if it happened, but it's not going to happen. So,
Competition is always good though between Steam, Origin, Green Man Gaming, and now these guys get into it. It's a good time to be buying games.
So are the weekly deals are the weekly and monthly deals going away?
No, they still have a Humble weekly sale, and there's a Humble Warner Brothers sale going on right now where you can get a bunch of Batman games, one Batman game, all the Fear games, a couple other things, like a really awesome bundle actually right now. So
I think it's both Batman games, the first two.
Oh, it's first two? Okay.
Yeah,
if anyone wants some Arkham Asylum or Arkham City Game of the Year editions, I already have both of those, so let me know, and I will.
Nice.
I would love to give them to somebody. Moving on. Let's see. Oops, nope, clicked the wrong button.
That is a loud scroll wheel. Jeez.
All metal, baby. The best mouse in the world, made by Microsoft.
You gotta throw out the devil horns when you say it. All metal.
All metal, low drag, super tactical.
That's right.
But it's bad when I click it in, though. It messes up a lot. Like when you click the... So that part's not good. But they don't make it anymore, so I'm scared to get rid of it. PlanetSide 2, for anyone who plays that. I played like an hour, so, I'm pretty cool. They've released a patch designed to make the performance a lot better, and supposedly that's made a huge difference. So if you tried PlanetSide 2 and you were disappointed with how slowly it ran, then you should hop back in and give it a shot now, because it might be a whole lot better.
That's good, because I remember playing it back in the beta, pretty close to release, and it was kind of appealing. Like, it seemed to be like pretty fun, but performance was between 25 and 35 FPS on my rig, and that just did not seem right at all for what you were getting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So Dave,
That's me.
DayZ is not out yet. Not a surprise for anybody.
Let me check.
All right, go check real quick.
DayZ is not out yet.
All right, DayZ's not out
confirm.
yet. But there is some DayZ news and updates and things, so...
That it's still not out.
Delayed.
That's the main news, is that it's not out. But, there's been a tiny bit of news. It's actually shocking what counts as news when it comes to DayZ.
Actually, there's a lot of news.
All right, go for it.
At the end of September, Dean and the rest of the crew all went quiet with all their daily updates, said that
And Dave
on the
went
home
loud.
stretch here. I just curled into a ball, like a fetal position for the last month and a half. They have gone...
Yelled, "It's happening!" over and over.
No, I told Joel that GIF does not get sent out until it's actually live on the Steam page. Like, when it goes live, Joel's going to know, because at work, I'm just going to IM him that Ron Paul GIF where he's, "It's happening!" That's all he gets, and he's going to know what that means. But anyway, enough about Ron Paul. They've actually started talking again, started posting things, and it's a lot of good news, actually. The network bubble, which they were working on last we heard, I guess almost 2 months ago now, not only is that finished, but it is working exactly how they wanted it to. Everything went perfect with that.
But the game's still not out.
The game is still not out, but the rest of the team was not idle during that time. Do you guys remember the talk about possibly releasing the alpha with no zombies at all?
Yes.
just because they were still way too glitchy. Well, while their network team was working on the network bubble, the rest of the team, artists were doing their thing, but Dean and his crew actually got the new zombies done, at least for the alpha stage, and in the engine. All those script-based, super just hacked-on Franken zombies that were just coded so roughly into the engine, they're all gone. And on their test servers, they've gone from 300 zombies with a stable FPS in standalone to 3,000.
Yes.
And that's exciting because the most we ever saw on the mod was about 900 or so on the entire server. So now 3,000, and it's only going to go up from there, is what they've said. Like, this is just the beginning of getting the zombies optimized, but
so there will be like 100,000 zombie servers, I'm sure, like they do with the vehicles now.
That sounds terrifying. Just walls of zombies, and awesome, actually.
You'll just spawn in with just like one giant truck and just fields of zombies, and the whole server's just driving around running them over.
And there's some new spawn right in the middle, like kiting all of them. And it's probably Jeremiah.
Well, I'm good at what I do.
That's right. So yeah, that was exciting to hear, just because they were really close to just not releasing zombies at all. And for a zombie-based MMO, that's kind of important. For me, like, I've kind of been watching very closely on r/DayZ in the last few months for all the news and stuff, but it had gotten pretty bitter over there. I mean, I've just kind of been in like a patient mode. Like, I watch all the news, but I'm
sure. Yeah, definitely.
I'm not like, give me my standalone right now. But man, some people had just gotten really, really angry, like following Rocket around and like downvoting every single thing he posted and like harassing him on Twitter. Just, really, really bitter and angry stuff. But the mood is definitely changing with all these updates in the last few weeks, and it's actually been a lot of fun to watch. Just the absolutely like ridiculous like hype train videos people are posting.
Yeah, I like the hype. Have you guys seen the hype train videos?
It's awesome.
They've been here, Chris, just Google DayZ hype train. There's some pretty good stuff.
I don't know where this song came from. It's like this hype train song. In the background, you hear like this reverby, echoey speech from Rocket back at E3 where he's like, the standalone must be out by the end of the year. And it's like, oh yeah, guys, epilepsy warning though. Like this, like the background's just like flashing colors, so watch out for that.
There's this awesome subreddit called r/montage parodies, where it's all people making fun of Call of Duty no scope montages and stuff. But there's a post I found on there where someone compiled all of the best montage music, like it just dubstep with super dumb drops and stuff, and I've definitely saved that for that'll be useful for just about anything.
To pause real quick, OshiSeven has just dropped into the chat. Can we get him a Google Plus invite? I'm not sure if he's available, but possibly send that out to him.
I would need an email address.
Freddie, if you can hear me, pop over to Skype and send me your email, and we can get you an invite if you want to join in on the DayZ discussion here. Because we're chugging through all these updates right here. There's more coming. There's more to come. But wait, there's more. But yeah, just the mood change is pretty nice to see after just all the bitterness and rage for a lot of the year. We are close, but I think Jeremiah's Thanksgiving update or Thanksgiving estimate is going to be the winner.
To Christmas.
I think you're going to nail it.
Yeah. It makes the most sense. Now, all right, so I'm curious.
Yeah.
Chris and Steve. I know Dave is excited. That's established. We're all living with it. But you guys haven't been playing as much DayZ lately. Lately being like the last 6 months. Are you guys excited for standalone still? Or at this point, are you kind of like, if it ever happens, we'll see? Or like, where are you guys at with that?
For me personally, I'm not sure. Like, I feel like I've played a lot of DayZ. I mean, I probably have nothing compared to Dave, but I probably have 150 to 200 hours in it over the last couple of years.
That's respectable. That's pretty good.
Yeah, so like I feel like I've kind of been there, done that. So it's gonna have to really change it up. If all you guys jump in, I may do it for a while, but I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna capture me back. I'll be happy that it's running well.
To be fair, you don't really play anything with us lately.
I haven't in a while. I've been busy.
Busy doing what? You want to share with the viewers, or is that
No, that's okay.
All right. Now, what about you, Steve? Like, you hopped in and started playing DayZ for like a very brief period of time.
The first night, I killed him by accident. That was not a great start.
Hey, baptism by fire. But and I guess probably because Chris was a bad influence on you, you haven't been playing with us as much lately after the first couple nights. So are you, like, since you've probably played the least DayZ out of anyone in the group because you came into it later, are you excited, or is it another thing like where if it happens, cool, if not, you don't really care?
No, I'm actually really excited for the standalone. I mean, some of it has just been, I've been preoccupied with other games, Arma and that kind of stuff, so when we end up gaming, that's what we end up playing. But, I mean, I would play more if there were more people playing. It's more a social experience for me, though. I don't...
Oh, it definitely is. Well, I mean, that's most of the
alone.
gaming we do is.
Yeah, so it's not been that I don't like it. I just really haven't had much opportunity to play with other people. So.
Yeah. I mean, Dave and I, like, we'll go through a period of, like, a couple weeks where we don't touch it, and then we'll play a ton, like, in 1 week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To respond to Chris briefly, I think he's right. Like, we have played a lot of DayZ, and we've had some really cool stories like that came out of some of those videos. And that's the cool part about DayZ is you get those really unique adventures that go on. But for me, at least, the game was kind of peaking for me in fall of last year. Like, I went on some vacations, had some time away from doing a lot of videos and stuff, and when I came back, the mod had kind of started to decline, and I felt like it was right at the point where, like, I could have had so much more. Like, I feel like DayZ has more to offer, but the mod had kind of just run out of steam at that point.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
And that was true. Maybe the standalone will impress me, and if it can do its job well and not present the technical issues, the barrier to entry may be a lot lower, and that may make me get back in.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
again,
if it
obviously
is
it's
difficult again, if it does take hours to be able to do something enjoyable, it's probably not going to capture me back.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, you know, I enjoy the mod hopping in and playing it, but part of that is the promise of what's to come. Like, if it ends up being really stupid, then, well, I don't know. We'll see.
I think part of the concern that Chris and I raised too was, just how long that they were talking about leaving it in alpha and then beta, and with it, coming out maybe around the same time as Star Citizen, trying to compete for my attention and affection. Star Citizen's going to win, especially if DayZ's still in alpha.
Well, Star Citizen's going to have to be really bad for me to not play a ton of that game.
Exactly.
Like, so. I mean, it could be one galaxy with like 3 planets and some dogfighting and some starships, and all I'm going to do is turn on the Battlestar Galactica soundtrack and just cruise around for hours.
I think you went the Firefly soundtrack. Just go back and forth, maybe.
Well, Firefly soundtrack is when you're out by yourself, You're just
okay, hey, there you go. There you go.
The Battlestar Galactica soundtrack is when it's go time.
That's right.
But yeah, like I have a really soft spot for good sci-fi stuff. Good sci-fi. Important distinction. Never was much of a fan of Stargate. Yeah. But of course a lot of people can say the same thing about Battlestar Galactica. Anyway.
But yeah, just going back to the mod briefly, although the mod did decline last year and we basically stopped playing like every single day last fall, whenever we've gone back, either for the Breaking Bad series or just for our like little videos here and there, eventually like something totally new happens, and there is just that like nugget of delicious fun in the center. It's just that it's a bit harder to get to at this point, and it's not like it was in the beginning of the mod where like every new thing was just this totally awesome adventure. But hopefully standalone's going to take us back to that point. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I mean, I did jump back in after having taken a long time away from it and had probably one of the best moments I'd ever had in the game, and it was just me and an interaction that I had with these 2 guys over the course of 3 hours of playing, which was probably my best DayZ experience. And I think the standalone may be able to do that again. We'll see.
All right, welcome to the podcast. Joining us right now, OshiSeven. Hey, Oshi.
Can you hear me?
What's up?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Just in time for all the DayZ talk.
Yes, something I enjoy talking about is DayZ.
My personal favorite, as these guys know.
So where are you at? I've asked all the rest of these guys, Oshi. Where are you at with waiting for the standalone, given that we've been waiting for a long time and all the dates have passed, and we're kind of just, in that limbo of, I hope it happens,
Baby, don't hurt me.
It's gonna happen.
okay, all right. We have a true believer over here.
Definitely gonna happen. I am a DayZ.
What car of the train are you on? Are you sitting on the front pulling the horn on the hype train?
I'm the guy driving next to the train yelling, "Give me!" I'm
Train robbery.
Guys, you have no idea. Like, I'm so like, I don't know if you guys are in the same position as me when you log on, and there isn't a lot more you can do in DayZ right now.
Yeah, exactly.
You got all the different mods. You got Caribou, which is like a first-person only, really small PvP-oriented map. You got DayZ Battle Royale, which is like the new hotness right now. But there isn't like a lot that gets me going anymore, and I'm really dying for standalone.
I think it's because like we all know all the systems now. Like we know the weak spots in the game. We know how to push it. You know, there's just not
It's not
like
just that we know it; it's that everyone knows it.
everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. So everyone's taken all of their horrible behavior and squashed it into knowing how to exploit everything. And
They're so efficient at it now.
Yeah,
It was really
so
fun when
efficient.
just we knew it.
It was more fun when some people were decent human beings still, but now that everyone's just horrible. Except for actually that one dude, Dave, who stole your truck. That was actually kind of a funny experience.
Yeah. When I got kidnapped by accident, I was in the backseat changing guns, and the new spawn like ran up and grabbed my Humvee, and he drove off with it. And I was trying to talk to him over direct chat, but the chat was like lagging behind. So he thought that it was Jeremiah who was chasing my car in his car. He thought it was Jeremiah talking to him. And I finally switched to vehicle chat, and I'm like, "Hey, this is kind of my car. Like, would you mind pulling over?" And he finally like went to first person, and he turned around and looked. I'm just sitting behind him. About 5 minutes into the chase, he's like, "Oh, holy crap!"
Which is like, it'd be awesome if you go into first person at that point, because like you wouldn't really just be sitting for 5 minutes. Oh, he stole the car. I'm
Yeah, I'm
powerless.
just sitting there. That was a great part. It was like we pulled over, we gave him a gun, like, and just thanked him for pulling over, and he just went on his way. And later on, he actually helped us go take out a sniper at Balota. That was a pretty cool encounter.
So Oshi, what's your prediction on when it's going to come out?
I think honestly it's gonna be post Christmas. I can't.
Post-Christmas.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know any more than anyone else. I've had a few I met. I hung out with Matt Lightfoot and Rocket at Eurogamer and talked to them for ages about DayZ and stuff like that. And I don't really know the internals, but I think it might be post Christmas, or they might try for a Christmas launch. They might try and be tactical about it. But I think it's gonna be like either just before or just after Christmas. But that's my guess. I don't know much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Christmas launch would be really cool.
As long as I have some time off to play it. I have one sick day I'm saving for the launch day. I've been saving it all year. It's like just set aside just for
It's
DayZ.
just taunting you sitting there.
I know.
You feel fine. Wouldn't it be horrible if you got sick and had to use it?
Oh.
You'd be like coming into the office like wrapped in a blanket sipping tea. Please make it.
I'm here, guys. It counts, right?
What else is new with DayZ this week?
That was most of the news right there for the alpha.
Oh no, they put out those pictures with the weather.
Yeah. The rain system is in game. I'm a sucker for graphics and graphics systems and all that fun stuff. So it's really cool to see that stalker style, like clouds coming in. That just feeling of the post-apocalyptic stuff. I love that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But are you guys curious about the graphical settings in DayZ, such as like there's a thing called ATOC with anti-aliasing that makes trees look bushier, and all the graphics look really good in some of the screenshots I'm seeing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if when you're playing, if it's actually going to look that good. I don't know.
Well, that's what I wonder. Like all the performance limitations in DayZ are typically server side, or your CPU. Like I can run DayZ at like 2.5K resolution, or that kind of equivalent. I can pretty much turn it up. I can render it at whatever I want, and the frame rate isn't affected at all.
It's just the CPU.
Yeah, it's just the CPU and the server. So I would love the opportunity. I mean, I've got like 6 gigs of graphics memory going on here. I'd love the opportunity to push it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things where DayZ runs really, really well, and by all rights, DayZ standalone should run even better because all the zombies aren't on your client; they're on the server. So it's one of those things where it's like I wonder where the frame rate's going to be, or if they're doing even more with the game to sort of take advantage of the extra frame rate they got. So
I'm mostly hoping for better textures, like especially at long distances.
Yes. And on the vegetation especially. Like I know they're working on it, but Arma 2's trees had some really rough billboard textures.
But that would kind of take it from, I mean, it already looks like a big expansive environment, but that would take it from big and expansive to like just amazing. Would be if you could have that quality, just take it out like another 2 or 3 kilometers. Which
yeah.
I think like if you removed all the AI limitations that Arma has on it now, I think the engine could do it. So if it sounds like they're removing a lot of those AI restrictions, then who knows? Maybe it'll work.
Dean did confirm that it is still obviously running on the virtual reality engine. It's still 32-bit, and so it's still pumping a lot into that one core, not using all the memory that it should.
It is 32-bit?
It is 32-bit, and that's probably not going to change for a long time. I don't know. It seems like they're like really having an issue with trying to get that engine on 64-bit. I don't know all the details, obviously, but it is still 32-bit. As far as data just about standalone goes, Dean did confirm the weapons list, at least as of right now for the initial alpha, and it's actually a bit more expansive than I thought it was going to be. There's 2 rifles, the M4A1 with all the accessories, all the mag pull stuff, kind of like the mag pull one I got back here. The Mosin Nagant, thankfully, like that is the ultimate like Eastern Europe Russian surplus weapon. Mosin's got to be in game. 8 melee weapons, including knives and hammers and stuff like that. So melee is going to be a much, much bigger focus. And on a related note, he talked a bit about melee as well, asking, he was asked on Reddit, like, how does the melee feel now? And he said that it's actually so much better than the mod that some of the closed testers are starting to compare it to games like Left 4 Dead, where they're like, now that it's so much better, they want it to keep getting better because it's just like that next level already. So that's exciting to hear, for sure.
Left 4 Dead has some of the most awesome zombie melee.
Yeah.
And the DayZ melee couldn't be much worse.
The invisible bullet. Pew, pew.
Well, it was actually funny. The first time I spawned into DayZ 1.8, the one that added bats, I ran to a firehouse. I went to the firehouse. I was like crouched over someone's body, and this guy like charges around the corner, takes one swing, and just kills me like dead. And so I thought that was really awesome. I was like, oh my goodness, bats are amazing. Nope, no different. They're actually weaker than hatchets. He just got like the stars aligned, and the server granted him.
If you get a headshot
skull-crushing
with the
blow.
bats, it's a knockout. Yeah.
But yeah, there's way too many times where you run into people and everyone's just standing around in a circle, like hopping back and forth and swinging and missing at each other over and over and over. It's really stupid.
I just love the ricochet miss sound effects.
Yeah.
And besides those confirmed weapons, he said there's going to be at least one pistol, and I would imagine it's actually going to be most likely, seeing we've seen it at E3, the CZ75.
That I happen to have right here.
Right here. Not this exact one. It's going to be the CZ75 P01, which
Not
is the more
extra freedom model, which you have.
And mine's got wood grip, so it's got extra freedom. But it's gonna be like the polymer version with like the rail and stuff on it. Most likely, that's my guess for the pistol, is the CZ75 that we've already seen.
I actually got my hands on the standalone, and the way the ammo works is really interesting. I didn't, I went to Gamescom and played. I didn't actually get it to engine download, but the way the ammo handles now is really interesting. And I'm looking forward to how they're going to develop it from there. And if they do include lots of guns, I wonder if it's going to be a matter of finding shells and building the ammo, or I don't know. Sounds fun.
Yeah, you're talking about
pretty cool.
They showed it in the most recent devblog video where they were like combining mags and stuff. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and also like just basically, I was able to run around and shoot people because someone told me how to get my magazine into my gun before anyone else could figure out how. So it's kind of fun running around shooting everyone who's like, how do I get out? Where are the bullets?
That's so awesome. Like, what other game has that where you could be in the middle of a firefight, you've got ammo, but your magazine runs dry? You're screwed because, you have the ammo, but it's not in the gun.
Would be cool if you could like combat load shotguns.
Oh yeah, like just one shell at a time.
Yeah, like just dropping them straight into the breach. Is it still called a breach?
Yeah, it's a breach.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I've tried that before. Have you ever tried that, Dave, on your shotgun?
Only once, and
it is not that easy.
I locked the action up and had to like smash against a table to get the action to come open.
If you guys don't know what combat loading is, you've got your ejection port on your shotgun, and you can hold another shell in the hand that's holding the front half of the shotgun, and as soon as you shoot and like empty your shells, when you pull the slide back, you can use your fingers and flip the extra shell right up into the breech, and if you rack it quick enough, you're loaded and ready to go. It's just kind of having like a one more emergency shell, and when you go to shoot it, you can be reaching for another shell. That's for like super emergency situations, but it's actually really hard to do. Yeah, it's really hard to do. If it's that big of a deal, buy a drum mag.
It's a solution to all problems. It's just buy a drum mag.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could do like oil filter suppressors?
Like build your
DayZ?
own?
Well, in DayZ,
Yeah.
now that I figured out you can actually do that, like in real life, I say figured out. That makes it sound bad. I have not done that myself. You need a tax stamp. You need the adapter. There are legal
Dear
ways to do it.
ATF, I have not done this myself.
But it actually does work. So I wonder. I mean, it'd be cool to see homemade stuff like that. You know, if you needed to get into a town and get out without getting mauled to death, having kind of a homemade suppressor could be useful.
Oh yeah.
I imagine that's what DayZ's going to be mostly about, is
Yeah.
all this jury rig sort of stuff.
I hope so. I guess it's up to their imaginations and seeing what stuff they can make work together, in logical ways. Like the crafting system could get really deep and really broken really fast if they're not careful.
Yeah, we should things like a improvised time bombs with like a little wind up clock on it, like because it's in Russia, so therefore there's old wind up clocks still exist over there, and a flare and some the clock sets off the flare, sets off the explosive, and
A Rube Goldberg time bomb.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I mean, if you can just find like sticks of dynamite laying around, I'd be cool with that. Like maybe there's like an abandoned mine they add in somewhere that has like TNT. That would be totally fan service, though. That would just be like, hey, a new way to murder everybody.
Car bombs.
But I would do it. Oh man, Jihad Jeeps is going to take on a whole new level because the Jeeps, like, they're so valuable. You don't want to just give them away like in Battlefield, but
Yeah, that's true.
at the same time,
That
you're
would
going to
hurt.
want to
That
do
would
it
hurt.
once. Well, you did that, Dave. I mean, you laid C4 in a road and went to blow up somebody, and it just barely hurt them.
Yeah, that was lame.
It was lame.
The
I had
worst
to take care of it for you.
worst
The
roadside
one-
bomb ever.
The one good sniper shot I've ever done in DayZ. It was worth it.
That's actually the direction that I'm really hoping they go in for the weapons, is lots of homemade stuff, like just cobbled together. Grips don't match, parts don't really match perfectly, like a little bit of rust and wear to it. That would be really cool to see.
Yeah, that is what I'm hoping to. But not like, Far Cry 2 tried to do something similar, and it really just meant that your gun wore out every 100 shots and stuff would just jam constantly. Like, I'd like it to be, decent. But yeah, some sort of middle ground where your guns don't magically work forever and, everything like that. That'd be really cool. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm actually looking really forward to the meta game, where it's going to be like right now DayZ is so easy to survive. The only version of DayZ that I have trouble surviving is Aftermath. And one of the things I'm looking forward to is a little bit the meta game, where you have to find food and cook it, and there's not going to be as many cans or drinks or soda laying around, stuff like that. And I think the survival aspect is going to be like vastly improved. Not only the shooting, but also sort of like not dying is going to be a big part of the game.
Yeah.
So
When we
That
first
was
started
one of
playing
the
it,
fun things about the early game too.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that had to occupy over half your time. It wasn't just, okay, I've got a gun, let's go shoot someone.
but that kind of ended up falling flat because the method of keeping your stuff around was pretty much throwing it in a tent and hoping something didn't happen, like it didn't glitch away or the server forget it or something like that. So if they can,
The challenges of surviving in the woods. What do you expect?
but it just kind of punished you unfairly. So if they can improve the the storage or whatever you would
Reliability,
call it, then it actually I would love to hop in, and my only goal for the night would be, let's go grocery shopping. Like, we're looking for
At gunpoint.
I'd be totally fine with that. That'd be a lot of fun. Whereas now, like, it feels like there's no point. Just when you find something, eat it, drink it, do whatever you need to do to get to the next town. Like Oshi said, there isn't really much more depth to that right now. You can't really count on that system.
And also, there's going to be a big factor on what you eat and what you drink. Is if you eat too much, if you eat too much of one thing, you can make yourself sick. Like if you drink too much soda, it might quench your thirst for a little while. If you drink too much, you might get actual health problems for your character, which you need to fix by finding medical supplies.
Yeah.
So
If you run around in the woods just slurping cold beans out of a can after a day or two, you're just going to be having problems.
Yeah, honestly, though, I'm really excited about all the survival aspects coming back, and not only coming back, but then being expanded upon and improved, because I always joke that all the rest of these guys were actually playing DayZ. I was playing the game where I hide in the woods, like, under a bush with a tent. Like, I just love the persistence of, like, creating this community, this, like, little survival camp,
And
and
we used
having
to
to make
have one.
supply runs. Yeah.
We used to have one. It worked pretty well. That area is still very subtle. Can't open there.
Cool. It's so
But yeah, that was still an unused area. So I look forward to getting back to it in the standalone and seeing what we can do.
And I think that's what Dean wanted. Looking back at that interview where he talked about his initial designs for what wasn't DayZ at the time, but was basically a military survival simulator where it was all about gathering supplies and surviving the elements. Like, there were no zombies or other people at first. And I think we're going to see more of that eventually in standalone, where the options to just survive are going to be really, really expanded. I'm so excited about that.
And like, one thing I'm really excited about is that, I don't know if you guys, like, everyone always says that people at the beginning of the game, when DayZ first came out, that there weren't as many bandits. And I don't think so. I think everyone killed on sight almost all the time. But one of the things I'm looking forward to is actually your character developing skills. So there's going to be things that are intrinsic to that character, to that life, that aren't just your gear. So if you do die by getting shot, your friend just can't kill the guy who shot you and look after your gear until you respawn and make your way back. You're actually going to lose skills. Like, if you're a good medic, if you're a good engineer, if you're a good if you're good at making weapons and stuff like that. I'm actually quite looking forward to that, because that might have situations where you might actually use the animation to put both your hands up and surrender and give them everything you have, because the skills you've developed on that character are actually more valuable than the gear that you have on you.
Yeah, right now it's definitely the opposite. Your gear is you, quote unquote. You can just spawn in as this totally blank character, and as long as you can get back to your gear, as far as the game's concerned, you're the same person again, more or less. So it would be nice to have the person be more valuable than the gear, like the real world, where you were actually attached to the person and not to the guns and everything.
But it seems like a bit of a controversial point as well, because a lot of people don't want it to become this leveling game where you get 2 skill points and you can choose where to put them. It's going to be more natural than that. But
yeah, if it's organic,
Yeah.
I think it'll be great. But yeah, you would hate to be pulling up skill trees and +1 disease resistance. That's what you don't want DayZ to turn into.
No, not at all.
But
Dean
they
was
haven't
actually
given me indication
talking.
that'll happen.
Dean was talking about the character customization screen a few days ago, and although you only have the one character for your account, you will actually be able to go back and see past characters. So there might be more of a connection there, where if you've got a medic who was alive for 2 months and you die in this horrible ambush, you might kind of go back occasionally and be like, man, I miss that guy. He was awesome.
Wait,
He
you'll
did
be able
so
to
well.
go and browse through your old characters or something?
Yeah.
Really, I hadn't
That's the
heard about
word.
that. That's really
yeah, it's going
interesting.
to be a web-based sort of historical archive of your account, where you've got different characters and it tells you about what they've done, how they died, what diseases they had.
lots of diseases from the sound of it.
That's going to fill up really quickly. There's going to be a whole lot of 10-minute, 15-minute, and then every once in a while you'll get 7 days of life, I'm betting.
Well, it's one of those things where I'm wondering if it's going to be, rather than DayZ right now, where there's so much ammo that there's no reason not to shoot people, because
Yeah, that's true.
you have a gun with 4 magazines, you lose those magazines, you go up to the Northwest Airfield, go into one of the barracks and get a new gun. But now, weaponry is going to be so scarce, and you have to probably most of the time be building your own guns out of spare parts. I wonder if it's going to be a situation where you might actually find yourself robbing someone and not killing them.
Yeah, that
I can see
would be an
happening.
interesting experience, because usually we've tried to rob people and usually we end up having to shoot them because they start lifting their gun. Everyone just goes to shoot so quickly.
You guys have all seen The Road, right? Either the book or the movie, or
Yes.
I've seen half, but I don't mind being spoiled.
no real spoilers here. Just more of the idea of the movie was that humanity was so far gone at that point that the world was just dying. And as far as ammunition went, the main character in the movie only had, I think it was 2 rounds left in his revolver, and the idea was that it was for him and his son. And so for most of the
Happy
movie,
feel-good movie.
on a quick side note here, Joel watched it alone one day and ended up just horribly depressed.
Oh, man.
He's like, don't ever watch this movie alone. Just don't do it. But basically, this main character, when he had to threaten people or get out of a scenario with his revolver, he had to just fake he had more ammo. And a lot of the times they would call his bluff because ammo was just so scarce. Imagine being in a scenario where you have to bluff. You don't have the ammo in DayZ, and you have to fake it and make them, make that choice. Do you feel lucky? Punk.
Because I really do feel like it's going to be a situation where it's going to be really complicated, where you might, I don't know, the Rocket gave examples of one of your friends is sick and you have to go up to a rival squad and ask to use one of their medics and provide them with weapons or something as a trade. And how would that go down? And it's all organic. You might have like a Jane Cobb, like a sniper in the hill, like watching as shit goes down. And I don't know. I'm just really excited for like situations where it isn't just sort of like, there's a guy, I want to shoot him, and I'm going to have everything he has. Anything I don't want, I'm just going to hide the body and I'm just going to get out of here. Or vice versa, where you just suddenly you're running across the field and just suddenly you're just like dead.
Yeah, they have to give people more worth alive than dead, and that's the thing now is people are worth nothing. The gear is worth everything. The people are worth nothing. So they're trying to make people worth more, and the gear attacking people hurts the gear. So if they can swing that balance around, I would love to see servers with like persistent communities. The only persistent community we've had on any of our servers, it was the server it's the server that we rented for a while, and there was one other guy who was on there all the time, or a couple guys, but the main guy who's on there all the time turned out to just be a duper. He had tons of tents hidden up in the hills, and like that was his contribution, was just duping stuff. Oh, Oshi, Bensifer in the comments says to tell you he says hi.
Yeah, ignore him, he's a loser.
Cool. All right. Get lost, Bensifer.
Nah, he's cool.
I'm sorry, you're probably a nice guy. But all right, is that pretty much all the DayZ?
That's all the news. The hype train is in full swing here. I am not turning in my ticket yet. I'm just going to stand on the platform and let everyone else ride the hype train for me.
Oh yeah, definitely. You're not anywhere on the train. No, definitely.
I'm excited. I'm excited about the game, but I'm not on the hype train. But let me tell you, as soon as it goes live, I am getting on board. I am ready to go.
As a final note, one of the things that was really interesting from Gamescom was what Rocket told me. The guy is amazing. He'll gladly stand around and talk about DayZ for hours with you, whilst you're in an after party where there's free beer. It's kind of, there's free beer, and you're just standing around talking about DayZ with some streamer. It's like, what's wrong with you? But he's saying, like, depending on how well the sales go, there could be a situation where he develops the game even further and goes even further with it. And one of the things he was suggesting was that there'll be much like EVE Online, where there's a big cluster of servers, but there's only one instance world. As you move out, like, it'll be a randomly generated terrain, and as you move out, the terrain generates on these different servers. So as you move out, the world is making itself, and that was one of the most interesting things I thought.
Oh man,
was like
that'd be pretty crazy if they can make that work.
Yeah, he said it was technically possible, even on the real virtuality engine. And I was like, wow, like that's insane. But I think that's a far and away dream. But I thought that was really interesting. Mm-hmm. And I
would never stop playing. Family would never see me again. Guys, I'm still checking across, Kazakhstan.
Well, that's kind of like playing on Altus now.
Yeah.
I mean, Altus, it's so big it doesn't really matter at this point. But
is there? I've not really played much Arma 3 at all. I don't know why. It's one of those games that hasn't resonated with me. Is there a DayZ version of one?
Yeah. People have ported it over. Well, first people ported the lighting into DayZ, so the lighting model into vanilla DayZ and Shannara's, and that was pretty amazing. That just made Shannara's, like, I was just wandering around looking, everything looks so much better. The nighttime, middle of the day, like, everything was amazing. People have gotten DayZ kind of working on the Arma 3 maps, but it's like most of the one-off mods, it doesn't work that great. It's kind of cool to hop in and run around a little bit, but you're not going to spend a lot of time playing it.
There's a lot of broken stuff, even more so than the mod.
It's more just for fun. Like, no one's trying to actually replace the Arma 2 mod with an Arma 3 mod. They're just it's something fun to run around in. But yeah, you can play DayZ on Altus, which I can't imagine that performs well, because it already performs pretty poorly just playing Arma. So not poorly, but like it it's not good. It's a huge area, so it can't really keep up. But,
okay, just curious.
Yeah. There's you could probably have a couple hours of fun. It's worth trying out.
That's exactly what I got was like 2 hours of fun.
Yeah, it's a fun experiment. If nothing else, it makes you excited for the improved lighting models and everything in standalone.
Actually, that was the weird part, was that on Chernarus, on the version that I played, the lighting model was cool and all, but the saturation was off, so it was like playing in this like super bright, like cartoony version of Chernarus. Like the grasses were just super green, and the sky was like all happy and blue, and it was just very, very bright and happy. It was really strange.
It's DayZ acid.
Yeah. Basically.
All right.
That covers all the DayZ news.
It does.
Finally.
We have some questions from some listeners, and then if we have enough time, we're going to get into our topic for the week. We ended up going longer on DayZ, longer than we planned on, but it was good. I
It's
guess
good stuff.
Still not tired of talking about DayZ. Oshi, thank you for hopping in with us.
That's okay.
Yeah, definitely.
You're welcome to stay as long as you want, or you can leave us whenever you want to. It's totally up to you.
I just came on to rant about DayZ. I haven't really talked about it much, and I was like, just
Anytime you feel that itch, like you just need to get it out, just let us know. You can come. We'll give you a section of the podcast, and you can just be OshiSeven and Evil Viking 13 rant about DayZ for a while.
Even wax poetic about DayZ.
It'll just be me and Dave yelling at the screen, give me it, give me it, give me it.
give. Mine.
Another section you guys record separately, and then we can just splice it in where appropriate, just for time's sake.
Just like keep cutting back to us, like we're still just pounding on our screens, like, please. It's so cold.
All right, you guys are ready with the rest of the podcast now. I'm out of here. See you later.
All right, see you later. Thank you for joining us. All right, so we have a couple questions from listeners. We have a lot of you guys sending in tech questions, which is cool. I love answering tech questions. I love talking about computers just nonstop. Chris is laughing. I think he's tired of me talking about computers.
No, it's just funny.
Why is it funny?
I don't know.
All right.
It's funny because last week we had a console gamer on, and Jeremiah had like a 25-minute section about graphics cards.
Yeah.
That poor guy was very, very quiet.
Yeah, but he asked to come back on, so it couldn't have been that bad.
Converting him slowly.
So, don't you hate that when you get a notification noise and you don't know where it came from?
Yeah, which tab or browser was that?
Too many tabs. Actually, today at work, I was doing a bunch of stuff, and my computer was like slowing down a little bit, so I opened up the performance monitor, and Firefox was using 1.2 gigs of memory. I was like, all right, that's probably unhealthy. Okay. So, Ravi Cousins said, hey, I currently have an A10, that's an AMD APU with the GPU and the CPU on one die. I have an A10 5800K and a GTX 660, but I'm planning to upgrade and get a new CPU and get an SSD so I can run higher settings on BF4. Anyone have ideas for a good budget CPU and SSD for $280 that will allow me to crank the settings up to high or ultra? Keep up the good podcast, loving them. All right, so I'll let you guys go first. What do you think? He's got an A10 5800K, a GTX 660. He wants to play BF4.
And
he wants to spend 280
total?
He wants to spend 280 total.
This is all you guys.
Yeah.
I'm Intel
Good
NVIDIA.
luck.
This is all you guys.
I've become Intel and NVIDIA, so Jeremiah, I think this one's on you.
Oh.
All right, well, actually, you guys will be able to chip in. I'm going to tell you not to get an SSD or a CPU. If Battlefield 4 is the main reason you want to go to higher ultra, Battlefield 4 is not that CPU dependent. You need a decent CPU, but the difference, like, you can play it on an $150 CPU about as well as a $500 CPU. It's really more about your graphics cards. Now, that wasn't the case in the beta. The beta, like, would max all your cores out for whatever reason. But that's not true. Like, if you look up CPU benchmarks for the game, I mean, you can do a good job. You need to have a quad core. And I believe, I'm going to look up the A10 real quick, but I believe it is a quad core. So you're really, you're pretty good. It's a 3.8 gigahertz, 4.2 gigahertz turbo quad core. So, you're good. I wouldn't upgrade that. I wouldn't spend $280 on a new CPU and an SSD because you'd have to get a new motherboard too. And so you're going to have to get a really small SSD and not that good of a processor and not that good of a motherboard, and that's not worth it. An SSD does technically, like, it can make games run quicker, but, I mean, I've had games
It's
on...
going to make them load faster.
Yeah, it makes them load faster. Like, once you're in it... I mean, you guys, you have SSDs you run games on. Do you notice huge differences playing them on an SSD?
Only in load times.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we're just at the point where, like, no game is streaming information quicker than a hard drive can be read from. But, when you're first loading in a level, the load times do help you. But, and that's...
Battlefield has terrible load times.
But it has
SSD
terrible load times whether or not you're on
difference.
on a SSD or a hard drive. Like, they're just bad.
You don't understand. On my work computer with just that one older spindle hard drive, my load time is like 4 minutes.
That's pretty bad. But I've run it...
It's really bad.
I've run Battlefield 3 on 2 mechanical hard drives and a RAID 0. I've run it on an SSD, and I'm now running it just on a regular 320 gig hard drive, one of the ones from the RAID 0 by itself. And there's not a huge difference in load times on these ones. And these are all decent drives. The SSD is obviously the fastest, but I mean, I would not upgrade just to make Battlefield 4 run faster. I'm going to say take your $280 and get a GPU. You will get way more out of a GPU. And what I would do is plan on, you can probably sell that 660 for like 140, 150. If you can, sell it and use that money and pile it on with your 280, and you will be like in business. If you can get an R290, you are going to love Battlefield. An R290 is pretty much the equivalent of a Titan. Like, it's a little bit better than a GTX 780, and it's pretty much the equivalent of a Titan, and you can get one for a little over $400. So get that. Now, if you want to, if you can't sell your 660 for $280, your next best option is the R280X. That's pretty much like a 7970 gigahertz edition. Wait till the non-reference coolers come out, because right now the cards, they have the reference coolers. Like all cards that come out with reference coolers, it's not the most thermally efficient. You can't overclock them as much. It's just more limited. So within a month, within a couple of weeks probably, aftermarket coolers will be hitting them. So that's what I would do. I would actually not get a CPU and an SSD, because for that price you're not going to be able to get something good enough to make a difference. And Battlefield honestly does not need a monster CPU. But that's my opinion.
I would second that.
Yeah.
That's why I dropped out of the question, is because getting a decent CPU and GPU for that much money and hitting high to ultra settings,
it's not going to happen. And Battlefield 4, like, it's decently taxing on a system. I'm able to get like 60 to 80 frames per second in multiplayer with everything on ultra, and I'm running a pretty screaming graphics card setup. I mean, it's definitely, like, I've probably taken a 30% hit at least since Battlefield 3, but I do hear it's a lot better on Windows 8. But yeah. Okay, so Infinity Troll has sent us a message. Hey, we're assuming it's not a troll message and he actually is asking a question. I'm just going to operate on
It's just a time waster.
Problem with putting that in your username.
So he appears to be Canadian, and he is asking for advice on a computer build. He says, I'm kind of happy with what I have picked out now, but I'm wondering if you could think about anything that would make it better without blowing my budget of about $900, certainly not more than $930. And so this is what he's picked out for us, or for him. An AMD FX 6200, which is a 3.8 gigahertz 6-core processor, an ASRock 970 Extreme motherboard, 8 gigs of Patriot memory, a 1 terabyte Seagate Barracuda hard drive, a GTX 660, a Cooler Master case, a Wi-Fi adapter, a RAID Max 450 watt power supply, a Light-On DVD burner, Windows 8 64-bit, an Asus 23-inch monitor, and just a wireless keyboard and mouse. And that comes out to like $903. So given that the important bits here are a FX 6200 6-core, a GTX 660, and like 8 gigs of memory and the hard drive, whatever, like, do you guys see any big issues with that or areas where you'd cut down?
I'm not that familiar with the pricing. What does that CPU cost?
That CPU is $130.
Okay.
It's a pretty decent multi-core processor, especially if you have something that can overclock it, and his motherboard will overclock that pretty well. So it's 3.8 gigahertz. That thing should be able to hit 4.5, but you are going to need an aftermarket cooler, and you don't have one picked out. So if you're going to get this, like, spend the $30 on a Hyper 212 if you're planning on doing any overclocking. You guys are no help when it comes to CPU builds. All right. I have a modified list.
It's hard to not see it and give opinions.
Okay, all right. I'll drop it in chat.
I'm just saying. I posted a few questions that I got too.
Okay, I just saw them. I was like, why are you asking us, Dave? You should know.
Help with computer.
I tried to drop it. Did you guys just see what I dropped in? There it goes.
There it is, yes.
Okay. So we're going to go through this really quick then. I didn't see we had other questions. I made a couple changes to it, and you guys get it open and I'll tell you about the changes I made. And this is all this all comes down to shimmying back and forth by $1 or $2 per part, just to...
Yeah.
First thing, RAID Max, not the best power supplies, if I remember correctly. So I changed that out to...
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. Spend money on your power supply. Don't cheap out on a power supply. I had my chrome blue 800 watt power supply that came with my case, and that died when Chris and I were playing Operation Flashpoint. We've talked before.
Didn't die.
Yeah, we've talked before about that game. I don't know, like there's some code. Ow. Just judge where the arm was on my chair. They programmed something into that game to destroy equipment, but
that game was just programmed terribly in general.
Yeah.
That second Operation Flashpoint.
It was terrible. So Corsair 500 watt, a little bit more expensive, but it's worth it. I changed you to an AMD FX 6300. It's actually a little bit newer. It's clocked down to 3.5 gigahertz, but it's a 6-core. It's $10 cheaper, and you're going to overclock it on your Gigabyte 970 AM3 motherboard. There's nothing wrong with the motherboard you picked out, but it wasn't in stock when I was making the list, so that's why I picked this one. And I'll give you the link so you can look at it. A Hyper 212 cooler, so you can overclock. Crucial 8 gigs of memory. Just 8 gigs of memory, no big deal. Western Digital Caviar Blue 1 terabyte. I just picked that one because it saved us $10 and it performs about the same as the Seagate. Slightly cheaper Cooler Master case. Slightly cheaper monitor. It's a $100 21.5-inch monitor, basically a 22-inch. It's a little bit smaller than your 23, but I think saving that money is worth it. So you can get a Radeon 270X graphics card, which is going to be significantly better than a GTX 660. I would not get a 660 for the price. They are not good cards anymore, just because the price hasn't dropped that much, even though they're an older generation. So
that's too much.
Yeah, I would get something newer. I mean, Dave, you're looking at the list. Do you see anything?
I don't see the list of cards yet. Let me look in that range and see what I can find real quick.
Okay. While you're looking, I'm going to answer I Am a Terrorist question because it's really easy. He asked you, I'm looking to upgrade my graphics card. My interest has been piqued by the R9 290. I have a power supply of 330 watts. And according to reviews, the card consumes that amount of power. Also, my CPU takes about 115 watts. How much power do I need to have in excess of this? What kind of fan would I need to cool the graphics card? Okay, 330 watts is not enough. If you are gaming on a 330 watt power supply, you're basically playing Russian roulette. That better be a good brand if you're doing that. If you're not really gaming with it much now, that could be fine for running an email and Facebook machine, but I would not be gaming on that. Get a 500 watt Corsair. I mean, you can get one for $50, and that will be totally fine. You will be able to run an R9 290, no problem. But do not try to run that card or any decently high-end card, meaning over $100. Don't get any card that's a serious card at all and run it on a 330 watt power supply. Not so much the watts, although it does not have enough watts, I promise you, but the 12 volt rail that the GPU runs off of, I guarantee you a 330 watt power supply does not have a sufficient 12 volt rail to run everything that needs to run off of it. So definitely upgrade. It is worth it. Dave, did you have an answer for us, or I'll go on to the next one?
I'm looking. What's our exact price range for this card? Is it in that 175 to 200 range? Do we have a bit of leeway?
210.
210. Okay. I'm really not seeing much from Nvidia in this price range. I think AMD might be the place to be for this price range.
I think so. I mean, that's always been the case. AMD is better for buck when it's cheap. And I think the 270X, the 7900 series cards, those are starting to go back up in price now that they're not really being produced anymore. AMD, they really want everyone to move over to the R9 series, so they've pretty much just dropped them. And 7950s are getting back up to close to $300 new now, so they're no longer as good of a deal. Still a decent card, but not for the money. 270X I think is probably your best bet.
That's what I saw too. That's about from what I saw between 200, 212 or so.
Yeah, it's right in that area. And I would, it's almost always worth it to skimp out a little bit on other things so you can have a good power supply and a good GPU. Gaming is still not to the point where you really need amazing CPUs for most stuff. But yeah. Oh, and then another question, actually by the same guy, I believe. A question for next week's show, or this week's show, I guess. I'm wanting to start YouTube. I have a budget of $1,000, need the PC and monitor. I have everything else. If you could help, that'd be great. Keep up the good work, and thank you. Okay, dude, check out the list I'm throwing in the description that we just threw in for the last guy, because that's a $900 build, and I'm just going to tell you what to do differently, and then you are set to go. All you need to do is get a better graphics card. The processor is fine. Tons of people game on that processor, video rendering, everything. That'll be totally fine. Everything else about it is like perfect for what you want to do. You need the monitor and everything, 22-inch monitor, like I said. So you are going to want to switch this over to American because this is Canadian merchants right now, but it won't be a significant price differences when you do. But instead of the R9 270X, let's say he can go up to about $300 for a card. So when we get to $300, it gets interesting. You can get an R9 280X, which like we said is like a 7970. Or you could stretch a tiny bit and get yourself a GTX 770, which at $330, that's a really good card.
Nice.
I mean, would you push for 770, Dave?
You've already got an AMD processor. I mean, I don't know.
It's there. The 280X theoretically should be a bit better. It hasn't been out as long, so it's a little bit speculation. You can get a GTX 770 and overclock it though. If you overclock a 770, if you can stretch to $330 for a 770 with a good cooler, try that. But otherwise, just look at that list, make a little bit of modifications, and you are good to go. And let us know if you have any questions.
Yeah, that's a pretty tight list.
All right, so we are finally going to get on to the topic for this evening. I can tell Chris and Steve are starting to like doze off.
It's just funny. We're turning into the Maximum PC helpline.
No kidding.
Yeah, but our audio levels are all consistent.
I'm going to actually suggest that we save our planned topic for next time because, I mean, if you think about it, this podcast was founded on DayZ, and we just had our DayZ news episode and some PC stuff. That might be a good spot to end it.
All right. Yeah. Well,
what do you guys think?
Sounds good to me.
We'll save the topic for another week now, but we don't have to end right now. We just won't launch into a big topic.
That's right. Time to talk about personal stories from the week.
Sure. All right. Personal stories time. Chris, lead us off.
I don't have any. I just know that you like to talk about them.
This week on Jeremiah's
Wow, that
Live
makes you
Journal.
sound kind of narcissistic, doesn't it? I don't have anything, but you have a big mouth. Why don't you talk? Hey, Chris and Steve, do you guys have anything you'd like to bring up? You're always so patient and so quiet.
I know. I haven't been able to game that much in the last couple of weeks. So,
I know. Do you want to tell everyone why? Still holding out on that?
Girlfriends.
Girlfriends? Oh.
Well,
oh my.
Wow.
I was speaking. No, of course
in
not.
orbit.
I didn't know about this.
I was speaking very generally, as the thing we'd all hope to either have, or wives in the case of my two other
bad time to
presenters.
chug some water. I almost spewed there. That was fantastic.
So what you're trying to tell us is,
Hey, did call just drop out for everybody?
I'm seeing you twice, Jeremiah.
yeah, hey, you're there twice.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
I got a minor story, I guess.
All right, go for it.
Upgrade story. After I think 5, maybe 6 years, I'm finally replacing my keyboard. One of those backlit gaming, just
Membrane.
rubberized. What?
A membrane keyboard.
Membrane. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
Going mechanical?
He's going mechanical.
Yeah.
Nice.
Back full-sized, steel-backed, backlit mechanical too.
Nice.
It's a CM Storm Ultimate with a white backlight and brown switches.
Yep.
Very excited. This keyboard it's a Saytech. I've actually forgotten the brand now. It's been the model number. It's been so long. Great keyboard, but it's been 6 years now, and I use it a lot. And some of the membranes are actually wearing out. Where my control, my Alt, C, WASD, spacebar keys, a lot of them, the membrane is worn out so badly that I'm getting inconsistent presses. Like it stutters with the press, or it sticks, or just like all of a sudden goes ka-chunk with no warning, and it's actually really obnoxious, especially with, I use push to talk a lot, where I'll not get the key down all the way when I'm trying to talk. So I'm looking forward to the mechanical keyboard. That thing should last a long, long time. I'm excited.
Chris, which mechanical keyboard did you move to?
CM Storm.
And
I have just red switches.
Nice. Are you pretty happy with it?
Yeah, I love it. It's awful for typing because I got the red switches, which are light and have no click, so they're the lightest keys that you get. But it's great for gaming. I love it. Makes you feel like you're dancing.
Steve, are you still rocking a membrane keyboard?
Yeah, I haven't switched to mechanical yet.
Well, I'm rocking a mechanical, but mine is really, really old school.
Hold it up. I want to see it.
I can't get it up any higher. Well, actually,
it doesn't look that old. Come on.
I got it for... This will work. Okay.
See this guy's behind the scenes in Casual Shenanigans Gaming,
Good
right?
thing I'm wearing pants.
You saw all Jeremiah's notes right there.
Oh yeah, all my notes I write down on the... Okay, everything was good.
I will say that my cheapness once again got me. I actually ordered my keyboard from Newegg because it was $10 cheaper than Amazon. And so I'm not using my Prime shipping that I'm paying for with Amazon. Shipping from Newegg was just $2. I went for the Newegg Super Saver, and because of that, I was hoping it was going to ship more quickly. And it took an entire day for Newegg to ship it, which is rare for them. And because of that, it missed tomorrow's delivery, so it's going to be Monday. I was like, oh, that's what you get for being cheap, Dave.
Mine I found at a thrift store for $2. It was a total random thing. I just gone to visit my wife at her new work, and this is like 2 years ago. And there was a giant Goodwill right next door, like probably the biggest I've seen. I was like, hey, what the heck? So I just walked in, was just wandering around, and they had a giant stack of keyboards in the back, so I was just flipping through them. And I came across this one, and I love ThinkPads, I love IBM, and it had the ThinkPad nub and the buttons on it, so I was like, hey, this is cool, $2. I kind of like this, I'll give it a shot, so I bought it and brought it home, and the little nub didn't work anymore, unfortunately. But it's an old mechanical
Sad
keyboard.
day.
Yeah, it's an old mechanical keyboard, and I looked it up on eBay, and they sell for like $100. $150 depending on condition, just from people like who absolutely love them. So yeah, it's a very classic. It's not as good as the modern mechanical keyboards you guys have. It's not quite as clicky and stuff, but it's still way better than a membrane.
Oh yeah,
and I'm really
Dave,
enjoying it.
oh, you don't have yours till Monday. No, I was going to ask you
rub it in, Chris,
what the differences are between the Storm Ultimate and then just the Storm. Like, what does it add?
Do you have the Storm Pro? I think
they have an Ultimate and a Pro.
There's a Storm Quickfire, a Storm Pro, and a Storm Ultimate.
What's the difference between Ultimate
I have no
and Pro?
idea. Mine says Storm on it.
There's a bunch of different configuration options for numeral pads, the arrow keys, and stuff like that, function keys, and for the backlights. And
mine's got the backlights to let your friends know where your priorities are.
Yes. Okay. So yours is the partially backlit. Okay. Do you have the full numpad on yours too?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Mine is full numpad, full function keys, full arrows, and insert home, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then the full white backlight, which was nice.
Right.
I only had a backlit keyboard once. It was like the Logitech 115 or something. And I don't know. I guess I felt like it was too much light. Mine didn't dim at all. Do you guys dim?
Yeah.
Mine will,
I think that probably makes a big difference. This one was just like full on all the time, and it made gaming in the dark really annoying.
Yeah, I tend to play sometimes in at least dimmed lights, and I found that it definitely comes in handy if you have to look down briefly.
Yeah, I do find it quite useful. I wish mine was completely backlit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually almost ordered the partially backlit by accident because, like we just figured out, there's something, I think, between the switches, there's something like 20 different models of these keyboards, and the backlighting is almost like just a side note off to the side, so you have to read really, really carefully before you order to get the correct switch, numeral pad setup, and backlight that you want.
Yep.
I'm excited, though. Just curse you, Newegg.
That's awesome.
It's supposed to be faster than that.
So, Steve, what's new in your gaming life?
Chris is catching me up on the classic games I should play, so I started Crysis recently.
Oh, yeah. Install some mods?
Nice.
No, we didn't do mods.
I mean, it still looks great. It still looks great.
Yeah.
But there are some graphical mods that will blow your mind. There are graphical mods that make it look equal to or superior than a lot of modern games. I mean, Crysis, it's still... Okay. It's really the high water mark of PC development for...
That's what I was like. I said, Steve, I want to watch you play the beginning of this. And then, like, he plays the beginning, and I'm like, 2007.
Yeah, and it's still that good, isn't it?
Yeah.
6 years ago. Yeah. 6 years.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's a feeling.
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible game.
They haven't managed to replicate with like any of the games after that. Remember, Chris, is that one, the opening mission, and you come over the top of that hill when the sun's coming up? And we showed that to so many people when we built it. And that was like on your little 4.3, like, 18-inch monitor. Like, it was on a tiny little monitor, and it was still like mind-blowing.
Yep.
Nothing beats finding a bunch of like soldiers hiding in a shed, jumping on top and punching through the roof to kill them.
I don't know why they tried to innovate so much with the games after that. Like, they really should have stayed with the good thing they had going.
Turn it into Call of Duty, please. One a year of in the jungle punching through sheds to kill people.
Oh, actually, side note on that. Last week, I had started the Call of Duty Ghost campaign. I'm a bit farther into it now. The performance has gotten weird. All of a sudden, like, Crossfire still doesn't work, but the single card performance has gone up to like 90 frames per second, up from 30 something. So, and there's been no patches for that, so I'm not really sure what happened, but I'll take it. But actually, the campaign is a lot better than I was thinking it was going to be. It still has a lot of cheesy dumbness. It's Call of Duty, but like, there actually is a lot of quiet moments and different things, and like it is not like Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3 or Black Ops or Black Ops 2. Nice. It is a lot closer to Modern Warfare than any of these others. That being said, it's still not that great, but, you know.
I'll mention briefly the Battlefield 4 campaign. I've played, I think, most of it now, like 75% at least. I'm pretty impressed, actually.
Really?
I am really enjoying it.
The graphics or the gameplay? Because I thought the campaign was pretty throwaway.
He's really got to decide here.
The graphics are amazing. Like, there's no denying that.
Yeah, I can't wax poetic about the gameplay, but I will say that the acting, the writing, the pacing, much better.
Oh yeah, the motion capture and like the facial animation and stuff. Actually, Chris, if you haven't played it, do you have Battlefield 4?
I do not have Battlefield 4.
Black Friday, $30. You guys got to buy it.
Look tempted.
$30 Black Friday.
I'll think about it.
Hey, Chris, if they throw it into the Never Settle bundle, like I still have 3 games I can redeem. They just added Thief to the bundle, so that's really tempting. I'm going to wait. I have until the end of the year, so I'll wait and see what else gets added. But if they get Battlefield 4 in it, I'll throw you a copy of Battlefield 4.
Okay.
Because I broke down and bought it.
You guys got to join us. Our whole crew has to be together.
It's not that
here.
I don't want to, but it's like I haven't had the time to commit to it, and then it's like if I really do want to play Battlefield, I hop into 3, play for 2 hours, and go, I had fun, I'm good.
Right.
Yeah, honestly, Chris, I wait for Black Friday and pick it up for $30. That's
what I was going to say, Chris, is
that's what I'm doing. I'm just waiting until it gets cheaper because I know it's going to.
There are some absolutely insane lighting effects and like the textures and stuff. I mean, it
the water effects, not only just the water mesh, but the rain and the particle and the water shaders on some of the materials like the roadways and stuff. Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the multiplayer, like if it was a totally separate game that happened to have that campaign, it would still be really impressive. The campaign itself isn't that impressive, but the graphics and lighting and everything, it's really pretty amazing. So
I think one reason that I'm really enjoying the campaign is I'm a big fan of Tom Clancy's Red Storm Rising, one of my all-time favorite books, and his discussion of modern naval combat and how sudden and just brutal it is and just devastating. Like, it's not like it was in World War II where you have these navies that sail out and trade shots back and forth. It's like when the battle happens, it's just devastation and then everyone limps home. And the campaign for me has really like felt like I'm playing Red Storm Rising. I've really enjoyed it.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure I'll pick it up one of these days.
Or you can just go to my channel and watch my Let's Play of the campaign. Actually, what I did was I hate going to, like, if I want to look up something from a campaign, I hate, like, going to it and there's some idiot, like, cracking genital jokes over the whole thing. So I did a no commentary playthrough. Super easy to produce. Literally all you do is play it and try not to screw up. But I did that so that, you know, it's something I always look for. And I've gotten a couple comments from people like, hey, one where someone isn't talking the whole time. I can just watch the game. This is cool. So if you want to see the graphics, I encoded at a really high bit rate. You can go get a taste of what you'd be looking for.
Cool.
It's really awesome looking. But so I think we are going to wrap this down. You guys, those of you who have been asking about the loot cast that we talked about, the loot-centric podcast, we have a plan. Don't worry, it has not been forgotten. We have a plan we think you will really like. We're not ready to talk about it publicly yet, but stay tuned.
Just prepare your bodies for Lootcast 2013.
Yes. It will be good. And what else? Like, comment, subscribe, love us forever, all that stuff. You can write into the show, casualshenanigans@gmail.com, Casual Shenanigan on Twitter, Germ Gaming on Twitter, Evil Viking on Twitter, on YouTube. You're watching this on YouTube, so you already know that. Or you're listening to us on iTunes or something. If so, thank you.
Oh, by the way, guys, thanks for the new iTunes ratings and reviews. It's awesome to hear that there are some other gun people out there that do appreciate Jeremiah and I's gun
Wait,
rants.
what is this? This must be new since the last time I checked.
We had a guy subscribe on iTunes because we were talking about tax stamps and suppressors. So our gun nerd stuff does actually reach someone. So, brother, if you're out there, we're thinking about you.
And you're entitled to a game because you wrote a review. I said,
That's
people write
right.
reviews,
Right
you're
into
entered in the
us.
drawing. So I think you're the first person to write one in a couple weeks. So contact me. I will let you know some of the game codes I have available, and you are welcome to one of them. And also, people listening, if you want Arkham City or Arkham Asylum Game of the Year editions, let me know with a comment why you are worthy to receive such a gift, and we'll hand it out. That's the only problem with the Humble Bundles. There's so many people giving away the games from the Humble Bundles that, like, you can literally go say, hey, who wants a free game? And no one cares. I was like, nah, I got it. I paid the big old price of 2 cents and got 7 games. I'm happy, thanks. But, all right. Well, thank you guys for watching or listening or whatever you happen to do. I'm glad that Google Plus is working slightly better. And,
Yes.
Anyone have anything to say before we bounce out?
Keep the comments coming, guys. Lots of good feedback this week. Lots of good discussion and stuff. Good times.
If anyone wants to write in with like 3 or 4 questions for us to ask Steve, we can make him the featured guest on one of the podcasts. He's always just sitting there judgmentally, just staring at everybody, and
I'm just more the philosopher of the group.
Well, if you have any philosophical
course.
things you'd like to bring up, you're welcome to. Now, when the loot cast comes up and the one we were going to talk about tonight, I expect you to be fully pitched in there because we're going to be getting a lot into the philosophy of all kind. Well, I guess we can. We'll see. It'll be up to you to keep the conversation elevated from what it normally is.
No pressure.
It'll be as good as you want it to be. But thank you everybody for listening. Thank you to everyone who was a guest. Thank you, Oshi, for popping in. You're probably not watching this by this point, but
Is anyone still watching this? Please.
thank you for popping in. You're welcome to it anytime. And everyone, stay casual.